Hello, return to Castle Wolfenstein mappers. To select something, just mouse click. And to deselect, press the escape key. To select multiple objects, hold the shift key and click. You can also hold the shift key and click and drag. Watch, clicking and dragging. This is a great trick to select a lot of things. Deselect by pressing the escape key. And to select everything except the object that is highlighted, select something and then press I as in India. What was previously selected is now deselected. Everything else that wasn't selected is now selected. Escape to deselect. And to hide something, just select it and press H as in hotel. And it's temporarily gone. To bring it back, just press Shift plus H. And to select a surface, just Control and mouse click. Escape to deselect. And to select multiple surfaces, Control plus mouse click repeatedly. And suppose I want to deselect just one surface. You press the control button and then you click on it. That way you can deselect just one surface. And then you can continue selecting the other surfaces by pressing the control key and keep on clicking. Oops. Let's deselect that one by pressing the control key and clicking once. And just repeat. And I'm pressing the control key to continue selecting surfaces. And just mouse clicking. Press the escape key to deselect. To select multiple surfaces, you can also hold the control key, click and drag. I'm just dragging here and I'm selecting all these surfaces. So these are just surfaces that I can change the texture if I want, like so. To undo, Control and C. To copy and paste objects, there are two ways. Start by selecting the object, and one way is to use the traditional Control C to copy and Control V to paste. The copy will be in the exact same position as the original, so you need to drag it to the place where you want it. The other way is to use your spacebar. Select the original and then press your spacebar on your keyboard. And the copy isn't in the same position, as you can see. This makes it easier to select it and to move it. Let's assume that you're using the spacebar technique, but the copy is still in the exact same position. You need to change an editor setting. So press P to open the settings and go to Settings and select Nudge. Now if I select the original and press the spacebar, the copied object will be slightly moved or shifted from the original. Sometimes there's a problem with Control C and Control V and having the copy in the exact same position as the original. Suppose you accidentally press the escape key. Now you have identical objects in the exact same position. How are you going to select and move the right one? They are technically identical and occupy the same space. Hopefully, it will be enough just to click and drag. So if you're lucky, it's possible to separate the objects. But there's another trick. To press L, as in Lima, to open the entity list. You will be able to click and select objects in your map here. And once it's selected, you can move it. And if you need to, you can press N to open the entity window. Speaking about the entity list, you can select anything to find it in your map. Press L to open the list. This is the entity list. Suppose you want to know where's that weapon. You just click it and make sure you have ticked this box. It says autofocus on selection, and the camera will travel to the selected entity. So let's click on the weapon. And the camera goes to that specific entity. Suppose you want information about a specific texture that's in your map. First step, go to the texture. Then, using your middle mouse button, click once and have a look in the texture window. It will be highlighted and there's a line of text at the bottom. Next, I want you to click on your view button. It's this little eye symbol over here. And make sure that it says show shaders and show textures. Look at the texture window in the editor's bottom right corner. Some images have dashed lines around them. And some have not. A texture with a shader has a dashed line around it. And if it's just an image without a shader, there will be no dashed line. Now I will show you how to select a specific shader. There are two ways. You can select it here in the texture window, or you can click on it with your middle mouse button. So, locate the image in the texture window. You can scroll down until you find it. Let's assume I want to select this metal texture over here. Just click on it once. The dashed line turns red to indicate that it is indeed selected. The second way to select a shader is to fly to it. Just go to it in the camera view and then click on it once with your middle mouse button, like so. And it will be selected in the texture window. You can see that the dashed line has turned red, indicating that it is selected. So now you know how to select a specific shader. It's quite basic. Now I'm going to show you how to select a texture. It's the same procedure, basically. In the texture window, just scroll down until you find the texture. Let's select this one. How do I know that it's just a texture? Well, there's no dashed line around it. It's just an image, indicating that this is just a Targa or a JPEG image without a shader. And the second way to select a texture is just fly to it in the camera view, and once you're looking at it, use your middle mouse button and click once. And there you have it. We selected another texture. To take a quick look at the shader's text script in the texture window, locate the shader image. How about this one? Hold your Shift key and click the image. You will see its script on screen. Please note that this is the shader script in the Steam Apps folder. Technically, it is possible to change and save the script here in the editor. However, I talked about this in a previous video. If you change anything here, you must copy the file to the Documents folder. I never change anything this way in the editor. In summary, it's a neat trick to be able to shift-click to take a quick look at the shader, but don't do any changes here. Just use it for browsing. Do your changes the usual way in your shader script editor and save it in the Documents folder. And keep a copy in the Steam Apps folder. I just showed you all this to let you know that it's technically possible. Finally, let's shift-click a texture without a shader. There's one over here, the metal texture. Shift and mouse click once. And you get a message over here on the left side telling you that it's not a shader, it's a texture. So allow me to lecture a little. Both textures and shaders require a Targa or JPEG image. The texture is that image, nothing else. The shader is the image combined with a shader script. That script tells the graphic hardware how to render the image. Back to editing, I often use the number keys on my keyboard to shift between grid sizes. Suppose I want to create something really thin, like a floor mat. I create the brush. Now if I try to click and pull down, it's too thick. I want it to be thinner. And now I just press the digit 1 on my keyboard to switch to a smaller grid size. There we go. And now I can make it really thin. So wasn't there a matte texture somewhere? Where's that matte? Here it is. I select it and then I press the escape key to deselect. And then I use Control and I click with my left mouse button to select the surface. And then I press S to bring up the surface inspector. And I finally press the Fit button. Perfect. I also need to turn it into a detailed brush. So I click once with my left mouse button to select it. And then I go to the tab Brush and select Make Detailed. And there's a shortcut for that. I'll talk more about that in a minute. There we go. So by pressing the digit 1, I got a really small grid size here. Suppose I want to move back to grid size, I don't know, 4 or 8 or something like that. I just press another digit. Let's press the digit 4. There we go. Now I have a bigger grid size, so the brush moves in bigger chunks. In summary, use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever to switch between different grid sizes. So let's discuss detailed brushes once more. Suppose I create something here in the corner. I start by pressing the digit 4 to select a nice grid size. And then I just create something here. Let's make it a cube. And let's give it this texture, a wooden texture. And I bring up the surface inspector and I press the Fit button. Now, as you know, all new brushes are structural by default. And that's perfect for floors, the walls, and the roof. The rest should be turned into detail brushes, because that will help the game engine run as smoothly as possible. Select the brush by clicking once and press the Alt key and D, as in Delta, at the same time. It's now a detailed brush. Press the Escape key to deselect. To toggle detailed brushes on and off, just press the Control key and D, as in Delta. This will hide detailed brushes. And Control D, once again, will bring them back. To toggle all entities on and off, use the Alt key and the digit 2. So, by pressing Control and D, I'll hide the detail brushes. By pressing Alt and the digit 2, I toggle the entities off. Please click the View tab in the top menu and go to Filter. There are a lot of things that you can hide, and each function has a shortcut, as you can see. A common mistake is to accidentally hide things. Suppose you press some combination of keys on your keyboard and suddenly things are missing and the map looks weird, and you panic and think that the map file is corrupt and that there's a serious problem. Just click the View tab and go to Filter and select Reset. Everything will be visible again. Please note that this doesn't work for the H command. You know, when you select something and you press H, as in hotel, to hide it. So what I'm saying here is that whenever you manually select and hide things, then you need to press Shift plus H to make it visible again. To get information about any entity, just select it and press N. That brings up the entity window. Press N again to close it. Or you can just click the close button. Now we're going to talk about vertices and edges and stuff like that. We start by visualizing the corners, also known as vertices. Select the brush and then press V as in victory. And the corners or vertices are now highlighted. There's one. Here's another one. And there's a total of 8 corners because this is a cube. Let's do it again. Select the brush and then press V on your keyboard. The corners are highlighted. And this is very nice if you want to click and drag a corner. Suppose you want to drag it over here. I don't know why, but let's assume you want to drag the corner over here. That's the way you do it. You can grab as many corners as you want and drag. You can grab and move in the 2D window or in the 3D camera view window. However, it's quite difficult in the 3D window. You can also select a corner and delete it if you want. Press the escape key twice to deselect. Now I'll show you how to visualize the sides or the edges. Select the brush and press E as in echo. And now you're able to select the edges. Press the escape key repeatedly to deselect. Now I'll show you the move in just one direction tool. Select a brush, a vertex or an edge. Then press W as in William to select the tool that enables movement in only the 3 directions. There it is. Then you just click and move the object. This is very nice for exact movement. So you can manipulate brushes in the 3D window more precisely compared to when you try to do it without the W tool. So, in summary, pressing the W key will enable this tool, which makes it much easier to manipulate brushes, vertices, or edges in the 3D window. So, let's end this video. No, wait, there's one more thing. In the top menu, click Help and select General and Mouse Shortcuts. Here's the list of all the things that I've been talking about in this video, so you can study it by yourself. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, and happy mapping!